Hello, hello. All right, I am just going to give this a couple of seconds. So let's see. So that those of you who want to be here can find me. So just give this a couple seconds. So we are on day one of the Single to Soulmate Masterclass. And I am so excited to jump onto this day today. We're going to be digging into some really powerful stuff around attracting love. So, as you are hopping on, as you are finding me, say hello. I'd love to know who's here with me. And we're going to jump in just a little bit. Just make sure I can see on my other screen here. Okay, awesome. Hi, Lisa, how are you? So for those of you who are new here, my name is Elizabeth. I am a love and dating coach, and I help high-achieving women find the relationship they desire through inner work and learning how to date as a high-value woman, the skills of dating and the inner work of finding that person. So thank you guys for hanging in there this last week. I've been recovering from COVID last week. I got COVID 2 days before the masterclass was supposed to happen, so you might hear me coughing a little bit today. I'm gonna have my water with me and maybe need to take breaks if we need to. We'll see how I'm doing. So some logistics. So today is day one of 3 days. Day two is tomorrow, and day three is going to be on Tuesday. So the replays for this series are going to be available for a week. So you'll have some time to come back and rewatch, and then they will be taken down. So let's get started. And if you're hopping on, say hello. If you're catching the replay, if you could just do #replay so I can just say hi to you, know that you are here. So I'd also love to know where everyone here is tuning in from. I know we have women from literally all over the world in this group and here for the masterclass, and it's fun to see where we all are. And I'd also love for you to share what brought you here today. What are you hoping to get from this masterclass? So let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you and love to know what you're wanting. All right. So just to make sure that you have tuned into the right masterclass today, this is the Single to Soulmate Masterclass Day 1. And I've created this masterclass to help you understand what is in the way of you finding that perfect relationship, that perfect match, so that you know exactly why you haven't met him yet and what you're going to need to do in order to meet him. So this is based on my 11 years of studying dating, relationships, attraction, my own personal experience with transformation, inner work, understanding men and women, and then as well, my coaching with my many private clients who have helped them to find their dream partners. So over the next 3 days, what I'm going to be covering. So day one, today, we're going to be talking about the number one reason that you are struggling to find him or maintain or have that relationship. So we're going to be unpacking the science behind attracting and choosing love and how and why you're probably struggling in this area. So that's today. Tomorrow, day two, I'm going to cover some of the biggest blocks that I see that a lot of high achieving, smart, successful women have to meeting and attracting that dream man. And I'm going to give you some shifts so you can be that much closer to attracting him. And then on day three, I'm going to be talking about how to date like a high value woman. We're going to be diving into masculine and feminine energy and why and how this is so important for dating, and also talking about that embodiment piece versus just like the knowledge. So this masterclass is for high achieving, successful women who pretty much have their life together, right? You're moving in the direction that you want to in your life. You've got a great career, you make good money, you've got a lifestyle you love, you've got amazing friendships, good relationship with your family, And finding your life partner feels like that last missing piece. So you really want to meet your person. You want that man that you get to come home to after a day of work, who's your rock, your lover, your best friend. You want that man that you feel this really deep emotional connection with and sexual chemistry, a man who adores you, who makes you feel special, feel loved, feel valued, who you feel safe and heard and cared with. And you feel like you can take on the world because you've got that person in your life. You feel like this desirable, gorgeous woman. You want that special person who you can pour all the love that you have into and have that be returned. So that man who's got your back. So you don't have to feel like you have to be so tough in life, doing it all on your own, so you can relax and like know that you're really home. So just tell me in the comments, how would it feel to have that man in your life? What would that be like for you? What difference would that make for you? So let me know in the comments. All right. So I want you to experience all of those things with a man, and you absolutely can have that. It's likely that you're here because you're at that point where maybe you're wanting to start a family in the next few years with this incredible, supportive, loving man by your side. Maybe you're feeling your biological clock starting to tick, or you just don't want to miss another year of not having him in your life and making those memories together. So finding him is the thing that you're most committed to in your life right now. But what you're doing isn't working. So there's a difference between what's happening with men and in romantic relationships and like all the other areas of your life that feel so on track. So this masterclass is for you if you are stuck in a pattern where the men you're interested in don't pursue you, but the ones you aren't interested in tend to. You are settling for men or relationships that don't 100% feel right for you, and you're putting up with stuff from men that you wouldn't in other areas of your life, and you're like, why am I putting up with this? You get on a first date and you're worried about impressing him, if he likes you, getting asked on a second date, so you find yourself like really in your head and not able to just be present. And when you start to like someone, it's like you become this whole other person. You were cool, calm, centered in your worth, and then when you start to really like someone, he basically like takes over your mind. You're checking your phone constantly, you're feeling all this anxiety, you're wanting to know where you stand, and you tend to find that you date someone for like a month or so, you start falling for him, and then just when you start getting excited, he disappears, he ghosts, it starts fizzling out or ending abruptly. And this is really hard, and you're like, I don't want to keep going through this. Like, what's going on here? Now I'm just afraid of dating because maybe that will happen again. And then you keep attracting the same men who are just wrong for you over and over. Maybe it's men who need fixing, or men who don't want to commit, or men who are emotionally unavailable. And then you have a tendency to maybe stay too long, try to make it work. You've worked on yourself a lot, and still none of the therapy, all the books you've read, all of the other seeking that you've done has actually helped you break through this problem. So likely you are aware of your issues, you're aware of some of the stuff that's going on inside, maybe like anxious attachment or abandonment stuff or father issues, but the awareness isn't enough. So because of everything that I just said, you're starting to lose confidence most likely. You're wondering if maybe there's something wrong or defective with you, and you're starting to wonder if you will be alone for the rest of your life. And so you're at the point where you're ready to try something different because you know you're not going to be alone, right? You've made the decision, I will find that person, but things just aren't working out, and you don't want to just keep repeating the same patterns, experiencing the same things again and again. You don't want to keep struggling. So, Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So you're here because you're ready to try something different so that you can find that relationship. All right, so let me know if you resonate with any of the things that I just said. Put that in the comments so I can know if you're with me. All right, so I am so thrilled that you found me, that you found this masterclass. I am so thrilled that you're here. This is going to be a really mind-blowing, eye-opening, and incredible time together. So before I jump in, I want to give you a brief background about me. As I mentioned, I'm a dating expert. I've been studying relationships, dating, attraction, men, women, communication, personal development, inner healing, transformation for years. I have my master's from Harvard. I met my fiance in 2017. And, for about over 2 years now, I've been helping women prepare for and find love with their dream men. And that's really my calling in life at this point. So I'm going to tell you that things were not always so settled in the love department for me. So back in 2016, I was ready to find my dream man, or I said I was ready, but I really wanted that man that I could see as my future husband. I was done with being heartbroken, was settling for the wrong men when I knew they weren't right. And I had most areas of my life worked out. Like I was always say, like, why is it that everything else is going so well, but I can't get my love area correct? So I was on a career path I loved at the time. I was getting my master's from Harvard. I had great friends, an active life. I was traveling. And like everything was great except for that one piece. And I wanted my man to share my life with. I wanted that person to co-create our life together with. And I didn't want to settle anymore. And to be honest, I'd wanted that for years and it just like wasn't working. When it came to dating and relationships, I had always struggled hard. So, I wanted to be with a man who truly excited me, who I could see a future with, but I kept being attracted to men who weren't interested in committing to me. Let me know if that's you too. They were unavailable or emotionally unavailable, and I would be attracting other men, but they weren't what I wanted. They were unattractive to me in some way or just missing something. So I was always being left feeling hurt and disappointing because the guys that I liked were not choosing me. And so I was wondering, is there something wrong with me that I'm not getting the commitment I want from the men I like? I'd also had some toxic relationships in my past due to both of us, and I'd experienced some stuff that really kind of left a blow to my self-esteem, and I had to do a lot of work to climb back out from that. It left me a bit scared of getting involved with anyone and ending up in a situation again like that with a man. So I want you to know I've been through a lot of things. Dumped, led on, been the one not chosen, been stalked by an ex, anxiety, panic attacks. I had an eating disorder, heartbreak, all of that in my past. And all of that has been part of my journey to grow and heal and to become the woman that I am today with the wisdom that I have because of all the things that I have gone through and figured out. So back to the story. I'd been ghosted again by the rare guy who I was really, really into. He literally checked all my boxes. He had the high-powered career. He was highly educated. He was smart. He was fun. He was so charismatic. And the sexual chemistry was like off the charts. So we dated for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And then he kind of did that slow pull away thing that happens a lot. And he ended up ghosting me right before Thanksgiving. No explanation. He just stopped reaching out, right? And so I was at such a low place at Thanksgiving because I was like, I'd finally been like, oh my God, he's the one. So I really felt like it was my fault what had happened, that maybe I'd done something wrong. And so I ended up buying one of those programs or courses about getting an emotionally unavailable man to open up. And actually, I bought several things like that. And I'm going to tell you, none of it worked. So at that point, I was determined that I wasn't going to waste my time anymore on the wrong men who didn't want to commit. And something clicked, and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to be dating the man that I can see the future with, and like, I am so done with all that other stuff. So, I had been on so many dates, both just having met men organically in person and through online dating, and it was nothing terrible. It was just nothing that really went past the first date and feeling that like lack of connection. And so at that point, I was starting to really be afraid that like all the good ones were already taken and only undesirable or non-committal men were left. Maybe you have felt that. So what happened? Well, when something becomes important to me, I study it in depth until I basically become an expert on it, and I try everything out on myself. So after many failed attempts at figuring out what was going wrong, I finally discovered missing pieces that I had not known or understood before from all these different places, and I put it all together, helped myself figure out myself and men. And it was 3 months, a little less than that actually, when I met my fiance. So today I've been with my fiance for 5 years. We are engaged. We live together outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And it feels so incredible to be with someone who is a match, who wants what you want, who shows up for you consistently, who never leaves you guessing, who demonstrates that he cares, and who supports me in everything that I do and all my ambitions, and is such a good man that I can be proud to be with. So I met him like, I think it was 3 months after that moment, and I think it was actually a little less, of like, I've had enough, something has to change after being ghosted by that guy. When I'd realized that I needed to do something different and began to really dig deep into what that was, it was the first time I really looked at me and was like, maybe I have something to do with this. So I'm going to be sharing with you what that was that I did and what I understood over the next 3 days. Okay, so just let me know if you guys are resonating. Hi, Anne. Okay, awesome. So let's dive in. I want to talk about why you are most likely struggling to find the one, what's really going on. So, and I'm also curious if you thought that the answer to this problem that you're experiencing is two, and I'm going to give you a bunch of things that maybe you thought you should do. So, number one, just continue to do more therapy, even though you've already been in therapy for years. Number two, practice more manifestation techniques like mantras, affirmations, visualizations, vision boards, something of that sort. Number three, hire a matchmaker. Number four, just meet more men, use more apps. It's just a numbers game, right? And number five, fix yourself in the sense that you feel you need to make yourself more desirable in some way or less threatening in some way. And you're like, if I could just figure that out. Okay, so let me know if you thought you should do any of those 5 things or if you've already tried them and I'm guessing no results. So let me know, I'm curious. I'm just going to give it a second here. So guys, let me know if you have ever tried, felt like you need to do those things. We're going to be diving into the first root issue, and that is your subconscious love blueprint. So you may have thought, okay, maybe these things are the thing I should do next. This is the next thing that I should try. I'm going to talk about something today that is going to help you save a lot of time and money today on doing things that won't work, because I've told you I've tried a lot of things. So after today, you're going to understand why those things aren't effective and what you really need to do instead to fast track this process to finding the right man. So Julie said she's thinking about 1, 2, and 5. Kelly said 1. Awesome. So let me know if you've thought you should do any of those things, or I'm really curious if you've already tried them and they didn't work. So the reason that none of these things are effective is because they do not deal with the root issue for why you are attracted to and attracting unavailable men. So why you're falling for men so quickly, but it's based on a fantasy, not a reality. Why you're ending up in situations with men that aren't meeting your needs. Why you're in a pattern where the men you're interested in don't pursue you, but the ones you aren't interested in do. Why, when you really start to like someone, you basically become very attached and kind of obsessed very quickly. You start leaning forward, pursuing, feeling anxious. Often he feels like he's pulling away. Maybe he says, I'm not ready for a relationship, but then he turns around and is in a relationship with someone else. And why love feels so far out of reach, even though you probably are like, I also know I'm a catch. And all of this boils down to something called your subconscious love blueprint. And this is really the core of why you're experiencing what you're experiencing repeatedly with men. So it's where insecure attachment styles come from. If you're here, you likely lean towards an insecure attachment style. So because everything you are trying to attract is going to go through your love blueprint first. So I'm going to break down what it is, the role it's playing, so you can see what's really going on. So when we talk about manifestation, what we're really talking about is bringing something that is held in our minds as an idea into this physical reality. And we are always attracting what we are a match for. And we are a match for whatever matches our subconscious core beliefs, thoughts, and feelings about that thing. So for example, love. We are a match for whatever our subconscious and unconscious core beliefs, thoughts, and feelings are when it comes to love, because we always end up looking for and creating situations that match this inner map. Our most deeply rooted beliefs and feelings are creating our reality because they control what we do, what we think is possible, what we think we can and cannot do, can and cannot have. So you can't attract or keep what you don't believe at a deep core level is possible for you, or that you can have, or what doesn't match your story. So where does your love blueprint come from, and what is it? I'm going to dive into this a little deeper now. So I want you to think about your love blueprint like the blueprint for something that is controlling what is being created. It gives instructions. For example, it will be this tall, this wide, you're going to use these materials, you're going to put it together in this way, it's going to be this shape, right? Like instructions for building something. Or you can think about it like the operating system for your computer. You have an operating system for your computer, and let's just say it hasn't been updated since 1998, and you're trying to watch this live stream with me here today. It's probably not going to allow you to, right? Because it wasn't designed for that. It would probably just spin and keep crashing because you're trying to do something that that old operating system wasn't built to do. You know, live streaming for Facebook didn't exist back in 1998. So this is kind of how you operate when you are trying to find that loving, happy, committed relationship, and you have an old love blueprint from childhood that isn't aligned with what you want and hasn't been upgraded. It would be like you haven't updated the software on your iPhone for a year and you want to download a certain app or use a certain feature, but every time you try to, it tells you your system is too old, it needs to be upgraded. That's like your old love blueprint. Or let's say you're trying to watch like Emily in Paris, but you're on Amazon Prime streaming, and you're like, I can't find it here, I don't get it, I'm on a video streaming platform, why isn't it here? I've been trying and trying and trying, and it's like, yeah, but you're actually on the wrong platform. You need to change to Netflix. Do you have an account for Netflix? Or is it installed on your TV, right? That's like trying to get a different experience with love, running on the wrong love blueprint for it. So if this is making sense, just drop a yes in the comments. I'd like to know, are you following? Is this making sense? Okay, so what is your old love blueprint? What is it doing for you? So when you say, I want this happy, healthy, committed, loving relationship, but you're not attracting it, it's because you have the wrong love blueprint, the wrong operating system. So your love blueprint is made up of your core beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings about men, about love, about dating, about relationships, and about yourself in relationship to them. So you start to form it from the moment that you're born. And it's in place basically by the time you're about 7 years old. So from about ages 0 to 7, you're putting your love blueprint together based on experiences that happen and how you interpret and respond to them, which create core beliefs and core woundings that are kind of formed around them about love. So what happens is at each age, based on different experiences you have, there are versions of you at that age with the consciousness you were and you had when those experiences happened that are still inside of you, and they go with you, and they have this set of core beliefs and core wounds. So if you know the short story by 11 by Sandra Cisternos, it's about a girl turning 11. And when I came to talk about this in the masterclass, it just came to my mind because I think it's a really great example of what I'm talking about. So she's turning 11 this story, and she says, what they don't understand about birthdays and what they never tell you is that when you're 11, you're also 10 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And when you wake up on your 11th birthday, you expect to feel 11, but you don't. You open your eyes and everything's just like yesterday, only it's today. And you don't feel 11 at all. You feel like you're still 10, and you are underneath the year that makes you 11. Some days you might say something stupid, and that's the part of you that's still 10. Or maybe some days you might feel like you need to sit on your mama's lap because you're scared, and that's the part of you that's 5. And maybe one day, when you're all grown up, maybe you still will need to cry, like if you're 3, and that's okay. That's what I tell my mama when she's sad, and needs to cry. Maybe she's feeling 3. Because the way you grow old is kind of like an onion, or like the rings around the inside of a tree trunk, or like my little wooden dolls that fit inside each other, each year one inside the next. That's how being 11 years old is. So you guys, you can replace the age 11 with whatever your current age is. So you have all these younger versions of you inside you, and many of them are on high alert because they don't want what happened in the past that felt bad to happen again. And that's why you get so anxious or avoidant or self-defensive or pretend to be someone you're not. The parts of you are trying to protect you, right? And the thing is, these younger versions of you are frozen in the past and they're running the show, and they will run the show because that's what they've always done until you actually help them not need to do it anymore. And that is a complex process. So I'm going to pause. Are you following me? Does this make sense? Is this landing? So I'm seeing Anne said yes, Julie said yes, Lisa said, oh, my childhood. Okay. So just let me know if this is landing, guys. And if you have any questions at this point, please put them in the comments. All right. So we put this love blueprint together when we are very little at all these different ages as we have experiences and form interpretations and responses to them. And the thing about it is we put this blueprint together in a very specific way. Because when we are that young, we basically see ourselves as the center of the world. So everything that happens, we think, has something to do with us, that it says something about us. Because at that young age, the way that we perceive the world is that everything is about us. I am the center of the world. I am the only star of the show. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that you were like that when you were younger, because that's literally just how our brains develop. That is appropriate for that age. So this can look like, oh, my dad is preoccupied. He works a lot. He doesn't have time for me. He doesn't want me to interrupt him. If I do, he gets mad. He's gone a lot. That must have something to do with me. Something about me isn't good enough. Something about me is wrong or bad, unlovable or unworthy. And those are core beliefs that get locked in. Or my parents are super busy. They don't have time for me and my emotions. They got mad at me when I cried that one time, and that felt really bad. And that must be because something about me is bad or wrong. My emotions are bad or wrong because they made my parents upset. And those are core beliefs that get locked in. Or, I didn't get noticed for the needs that I have. Nobody notices. But when I take care of other people's needs, I get some attention, and that feels like love. So what we really want is love. We want to feel loved. We want to feel safe. We want to feel important and special. All of those things that we want, we also need to survive because we needed our parents' love so that they would take care of us, so we wouldn't get kicked out of the tribe, so that we wouldn't get thrown out and starve and die. So this is literally about survival. We have this survival mechanism in us that is so smart for us to have as babies and young children. So as time goes on, you discover, oh, if I do this, my mom gets mad at me, I'm punished or ignored. So I won't do that anymore. Now I won't do that ever again. Or, oh, if I do this, I get rewarded with love and attention and praise and recognition, and that feels so good. That's what I really, really want. I better keep doing that. I'm going to do more of that thing. So especially if your relationship with your parents felt insecure and unstable, the more insecure it felt, the more you learned what you need to do and not to do. And these become our unquestioned rules, your core operating beliefs around love and yourself. And I do need to caveat here because a lot of women bypass here as adults and say, and not just women, all humans, that I know my parents were doing the best they could or had their own unhealed stuff. I know that they didn't mean to do the things that they did or behave the way that they did, or it wasn't a big deal. I'm at peace with it. Or even my childhood wasn't that bad. I had parents who provided everything for me. So yes, your adult self can rationalize all these things, but the little you inside still carries some pain from past experiences, even if adult you can rationalize it, which is why you can't think your way out of it. So is that making sense? Let me know in the comments. So Brianna said, yes. I know, I like the doll analogy too. And Lisa said, I felt unloved and important. Mother preferred brother and sister. Yeah. So you can see like those things are in your love blueprint in those core beliefs, right? Until you do the work around them. So this process of building your love blueprint isn't grounded in reality. It's grounded in this very, very limited kind of self-centered view. So the love blueprint, our subconscious way that we operate in love, is something we all have. No matter what happened to you, we all have it, right? You all have your own versions of it. And if you don't do the work around it, you will operate in your love life from your little girl self, from ages 0 to 7. The problem is your little self is putting together this love blueprint, and you have to realize when she's doing that, that number one, she's operating from a worldview that isn't really seeing things accurately. And number two, she hasn't developed the capacity for perspective taking and understanding why someone might do something that has nothing to do with her or her worthiness or goodness or lovability. And number three, she did have needs, period, end of story, and maybe those were not met. So because of this, her interpretations about why things are happening tend to be off. And they are off a lot of the time. But she did the best that she could. She figured out how to help you survive, how to get what you needed. And that's actually amazing that she did that. So you can thank her. You know, it is how you made it through childhood and young adulthood and became the woman that you are. And it has given you a lot of gifts. Resilience, determination, hardworking, high achieving, high performing, sensitive to others, empathetic. All of these are gifts, and that's amazing, right? Because she is smart, so smart that she learned and adapted to her circumstances as best she could to help you get what you needed. But what happened is that she put defenses or adaptations in place for how she needed to be to try to get what she wanted or to avoid future pain, shame, etc., based on those wounds that she has. So she could have had an experience that was bad, and to avoid having that experience again, she would put something in place so she could try to avoid that happening again, so she wouldn't have to feel that way again. And she made some meaning out of that experience about something. So for example, she might have had an experience with a parent or a sibling or in school where she felt dumb. She was put on the spot and didn't have the right answer, didn't know how to do something. She watched everyone else getting it and she couldn't, and it felt really, really awful and embarrassing, and maybe it was pointed out and she felt stupid. And with her limited understanding of the world, she was like, I don't ever want that to happen again. That felt so bad. So to make sure it never happened again, she came up with a strategy. And it might have been working really, really hard and achieving lots of things and pushing herself to be perfect. Because she was like, I looked stupid in that moment. And so I am going to make sure that I never look that way and feel that way again. I'm going to make sure I'm the best. I'm the smartest. I'm the most accomplished. And she did that. And she's been pushing you to do that. Or something happened where her dad only showed her love when she performed, like in sports or academics. And she got all the love when she did those things. And so she wanted to make sure she kept getting that. So she now pushes herself really hard to be the things that she was praised for, that she got noticed for and attention and connection for. And she said, I'm going to make sure I achieve and make sure I always lead with achievement, because that's why people will like me and accept me. And that's who she became. Someone who is really a perfectionist and a really high achiever, because that is how she would get love everywhere in her life. That's how she thought she was going to get it. So we all have this little young self inside of us, this little girl who believes that there are certain ways she has to be and certain things she has to do because we were all hurt at times, because of how we interpret things. Now the problem is when this little younger self is running your life and your love life, the issue is she is very, very repellent to high quality men and to the relationship you want to attract. Why? Let's dive into this. So just going to check comments here. So guys, let me know if this is resonating and landing, if you're following with me. Okay. So Julie said, I feel like my current behavior stem mostly from when I was 9. It does not have to be 7. It can be older ages as well. There can be things that happen throughout your life that leave an impact and change things, but typically there's kind of a blueprint in place. And some people do say it's ages 0 to 9. So it could be a little broader than that as well. Okay, so I want you to imagine this younger you, your inner girl. She has a book that she's written and is still writing. And in this book, she writes down everything that happened and what she learned from it. She has lists and a manual for how things are supposed to be done and how people are supposed to behave and how she has to be. And these are all based around her core beliefs. But the thing is, she wrote that story, that blueprint, a long, long, long time ago. So as your life continues, everything she puts into her story that's new has to fit with the original story blueprint that's already been written. Things have to go a certain way. She has to be a certain way. And this is her love blueprint. That story is it. So she includes things in it like, this is what you are supposed to do. This is how you are supposed to act. If you are a man, you do this. If you are a woman, you do this. If you are my friend, you do this. If you are my man, you are this way. If it's a relationship, it goes like this. And she has this subconscious need to continue that same storyline for everything in her life to fit into it. And it's not necessarily authentic to her, her true self. It's not necessarily true, but it feels true. And that's key. Also, when something happens that doesn't fit into her story, there are a couple things that could happen. So number one, she doesn't believe it because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit in my story, and she overlooks it because it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't even get it. This is not relevant to my experience. For example, it's like when a guy you meet is super nice, super consistent, interested, available, kind, and she's like, who are you even? You're not what I know. You're actually really boring. And she kind of overlooks him. Or she writes a story of what happened in an experience she had, but the problem is that the way it took place doesn't actually fit with how she sees everything, her story. So the event happens, but she looks at it through a particular interpretation. And it's very different from what someone else would have seen who had watched it. For example, he was the most amazing guy. I will never meet somebody like that ever again. Or, I'm going to be abandoned again. So, if there were 4 different people watching the same event, each of them may come away with different interpretations of what actually happened because everyone is fitting what they are seeing into the storyline they already have for how things go, how things are, and why they happen. So let me know if this is making sense. Is this something that you have seen yourself come up against? Maybe this feels familiar. Maybe you're like, yeah, I do interpret things through a particular lens, and I've wondered or I've been told that I might not be seeing things truly accurately. So just let me know if that's resonating. Okay. So I see that's me. Okay. Yeah, let me know. Is this resonating? Is this feeling familiar? So if we are going through life always needing to make everything fit into our overarching storyline, that can be a huge problem. Your story, your core beliefs could be something like, I am unlovable, I am not good enough, I am unworthy of love, I will be abandoned, I'm always the last priority, men don't really like me, I have to work really, really hard for love, men can't be trusted, I can't trust myself, love just isn't for me. Can you see how that might be a problem if that's your story? That's kind of the underlying blueprint of your story. That's what makes up your love blueprint, and everything has to match that. Because the question is then, what will you be creating again and again and again? So these are examples of stories or core beliefs that this little girl inside you might have made up. And she will insist they are the truth. So even if intellectually, you know it's not necessarily true, it will feel true. So you can be like, I know I'm not abandoned, but it feels like I'm going to be abandoned. Or I know I'm good enough, but it feels like I'm not. And that's because of her past unhealed stuff, right? And you can't bypass that work. other people can look at the same thing and they're like, I'm not sure that's what really happened. I'm not sure that that's what that meant. But she's really good at getting everyone around her on her side because they weren't there. And so she'll have everyone believing, yeah, that's true. That's what happened. That's right. And often anyone who questions it can be raked over the coals by her. So she uses new experiences to reinforce her already existing core beliefs and then digs even deeper into them. Because look, now I have more proof, more evidence. I was right. Because she expects that everything that happens always fits into that blueprint, that's what feels normal. It's all she's seen and known, and it gives her a sense of control and safety because it's familiar, because it's actually really, really scary to challenge these old stories. And there is actually a safety in them because they are known, and a fear of like, what would happen if I didn't do that thing or I let go of that thing? So she has old pain remembering the times that she didn't. And the one thing our parts want more than anything is to avoid old pain, and they will do anything to avoid it. So she doesn't actually want anything to change because her whole sense of self and safety and familiarity, which feels safe, even if it's not at all, is built on these stories of who she is, of how men are, of how love is, of what happens to her. So for example, one of the stories one of my little girls had was that I will always be abandoned and I am not good enough. Something about me is unacceptable. Because as a little 5-year-old, my dad died. And my 5-year-old self internalized that as I was abandoned. The most important man in my life abandoned me, and this is what men do who are important in my life, and it had something to do with me. So my little girl carried a lot of unrecognized, unhealed pain from that and core beliefs. But I didn't know that I had those. I didn't know I had the pain. I didn't know I had those core beliefs. I thought, I'm totally fine. Yeah, that happened when I was 5. It didn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. I was an adult and I thought everything was great. My life was together, right? That absolutely wasn't true. And I can know that because guess what I was choosing in love? Unavailable men who abandoned me. That story I was telling wasn't even the truth because I actually met all kinds of men. I dated a lot. So I met men who were unavailable. I met men who were sort of available. I met men who were absolutely available. I met men who wanted nothing more than to make me their girlfriend, who thought I was incredible. But it's just that those other men didn't fit into my love blueprint, my story about love. So I wasn't interested in them. I let them go. I ghosted them. So women will sometimes say to me, like, I only attract unavailable men. Men always disappear. I would love to meet an available man who chooses me, but I can't help that I'm only falling for these unavailable men. I just don't have connection with other types of men. Well, I get that, right? Because I didn't realize I was creating that and choosing those men. A part of me was subconsciously, right? I thought it was just a fact that that's just how things are. That's how men are. Men don't commit. They're scared of intimacy. So these men who were available and ready couldn't register for me in a deep way. I'd be like, yeah, but I don't feel what I'm expecting to feel. This isn't what I want, because subconsciously, he didn't fit my love blueprint that I was programmed for about the kind of men that I chose, kind of relationships that I got myself into, that I didn't know what to do with something else. It scared me because it didn't match my love blueprint. So I meet an available guy and be like, you know what, you're great, but I'm gonna have to let you go so I can focus over here on this unavailable man who feels the way I expect to feel when I'm dating someone. Or I'll date this really safe guy who so clearly is into me and also has his own unhealed wounds, because I was also attracted to that. So I can feel safe and in control and not really in love with him, because I wouldn't allow myself to fall in love, but at least I know he won't leave me. so I can keep this safe distance between us. And then I'd spend the next 3 years, quite literally 3 years, hung up on someone who didn't want me. Let me know if you resonate, ladies. Let me know if you have experienced that yourself. If my story is like, yeah, I can sort of see that, just let me know. And I'm just take a moment to drink some tea. Okay. So this would happen repeatedly. And my little inner girl, subconsciously, I wasn't aware of her, right, would be like, yep, that's right, that's what happens, despite my intentions to meet the one. So we end up repeating these patterns that don't ultimately feel good, but don't ultimately give us what we consciously want, but they're familiar and we are programmed for them. So we end up recreating them, doing things that subconsciously push men away with our behavior. For example, getting clingy, needy, pushy, demanding, leaning forward, even just energetically. And most women have this tiny young self and protectors who have you doing things to avoid feeling a certain way. And they're running their lives. They're running their love lives. And then they wonder why they don't have what they want. It's like if you are letting a 7-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old run your love life all together, what do you think that's going to look like? It's going to be pretty irrational, pretty dramatic and chaotic, not a match for the adult woman you actually are, but that's basically what we are doing. That 2-year-old is going to be behaving in ways that are super turn off to quality men and not a match for that healthy, committed, happy, loving relationship. And this little inner girl and the ways that she has adapted to get love becomes a huge part of our identity. And she thinks she's protecting you, so she won't allow you to take her off of directing your love life. And the real question is, who are you when you're free? Who are you when you don't have that past stuff making the glass foggy so we can't see and you can't see yourself? How amazing, how unique, how funny, how playful, how loving, how powerful, how extraordinary are you? But all of these qualities and parts of you are hidden right now by those other parts. And we can't see because the mirror is foggy. We can't see. The glass is not clean. So let me know if this is landing with you and an insight that you're having. What is the biggest insight you've had so far? I would love to hear in the comments. Okay, so Lisa said, I avoid unavailable ones, go the ones who are not my equal. Yes, been there, done that. I don't even know how to feel anymore when dating. Should I feel attraction or not? So you won't know what it should feel like really until you've done that work to kind of clear that lens that I'm talking about, because right now there are too many things in the way of being able to get that kind of clarity. Okay, so when your little girl self and her protectors are running the show, there is a lot of drama, a lot of instability, a lot of anxiety, a lot of performing, a lot of getting stuck in our heads, a lot of kind of energetically chasing men. And that is our default because it's what is programmed in the subconscious and the unconscious, right, in the love blueprint. So at this point, women sometimes are like, okay, I'm just gonna do some inner child meditations. And that's a start, but you can't really access these parts that are sabotaging you on your own, and a meditation really doesn't quite get you there. Sometimes we can use that spiritual stuff as a way to bypass the deeper work because our psychology will protect us from touching that kind of pain that's locked in there, as well as prevent us from seeing where the biggest issues are. The core beliefs, the worldviews, the ways of being, those are all protectors because to you, that literally is how the world works. It's not even a question, right? For me, like love felt a certain way. This is how it's supposed to feel. Was that the best way to be trying to find love? No, but I literally didn't have access to another map for what it should feel like. Yeah. So, years ago, as an example, people knew that the earth thought, right? They didn't know, but they thought the earth was flat and they didn't question it, right? Because that's just how it is. That's what it is, right? It actually can feel unsafe to question it. Like, if I'm gonna question if the earth is flat, I'm gonna have to like go off the edge of the earth, and I'd rather not do that, right? So this is not just your inner child. These are just our blind spots, right? And we can't guide ourselves into the scariest places or see the blocks, until we've actually cleared enough of the window to do that. So we have to be guided to this area, right? We need guides, where to go, how to do this, what am I looking for, right? This is in our blind spots. We don't see it on our own. So this is where having someone who is guiding you, can hold that safe space, knows what they are doing, is really, really, really invaluable. So there is a better way to date and find love, and that is through learning how to connect with these younger parts, to heal their core wounds, to help them not live in the past and pain and fear, and rewiring the love blueprint, all of the beliefs in there, all of the junk in there that is responsible for repeated patterns with men, responsible for not being able to tell the difference between my intuition versus fear, knowing what love is meant to feel like or not. So this is the work that I guide clients through, and I'm able to take you deep enough so that you are the one discovering it, not me just telling you, because again, that would be just like more knowledge, like reading more. And you already have all the knowledge. The next level is actually the healing and then the transformation. So just stick around if you're interested in what I do, because there's a new offer I'm actually going to talk about. So when you do this work, you can finally connect with your wholeness, with your self, capital S, the self that isn't in the past, living in pain, trying to avoid pain. Your self knows the truth of your being, the truth of what's possible for you. She's tapped into her intuition, her inner knowing. She's tapped into her power and her worth, and she's connected to love with a capital L. So she doesn't get desperate. She doesn't lean forward. She doesn't loop about a man. She takes her time. She isn't attracted to unavailable men or men who aren't mature or ready, and she isn't reactive. So this doesn't mean that we get rid of the younger parts. We actually love them, but they're not running the show anymore. And we do that by doing that healing work to rewire the love blueprint. So when your little girl self and her protectors' core beliefs are running your dating life, you may be saying things like, wow, I think he might be pulling away. How can I be everything he wants so he doesn't reject me? Let me try extra hard to get him not to. Or I have this thing I really want. I really want this type of relationship. I want this type of man, but I don't think I can have it. Maybe it's better to just settle for what I can have. Or that's just his loss. Too bad for him that he can't see how great I am without looking at your side. Or there are just no men on my level. I am just too good for all of them. Or, oh, unavailable man who isn't wanting commitment, I'm going to make him love me. Or, you know what, I think I should just focus on work. Work is really important, and it's not the time for love right now. Love's not that important to me, when really it is, but you won't allow yourself to feel that desire because it hurts too much, because you don't think it's for you. Or, let's fall for that unavailable guy. That way, it won't hurt so bad when he rejects me, because I already know he's unavailable subconsciously. So these are just some of the ways this can show up. And these protectors that we have, they have a lot of rules because they want to help you avoid pain. So he needs to behave X way. He needs to be like X. If he doesn't, he has to change and be this way instead, and I'm going to make him. When you're tapped into self, capital S, you don't have rules that involve what other people have to do. You have standards about what is and isn't okay, and what you will and will not accept in your life. So a rule is, you have to act the way I want you to act, and if you aren't doing it, you need to change, and I will make you, and if you don't change, I will pout, I will be hurt, I will be angry, I will just suffer through it. A standard is, I know who I am, I know what I want and deserve, and everyone is free to be exactly who they are and show up exactly how they want, but I'm not going to continue seeing someone who doesn't align with what I'm looking for and wanting. I will just release them, and continue to find someone who is aligned. Your little inner girl, all her protectors, are always on high alert for how she will be hurt because she expects she will be hurt because her core beliefs and core wounds, and so she shows up accordingly, trying to get him to like her, trying to please him, leaning forward, convincing, over-analyzing everything he's saying and doing, working really hard to try to understand him and his needs and being super willing to just bend over backward into whatever he seems to want. Yourself stays centered and grounded in herself, and she's just gathering information while dating. Dating is just about gathering information, getting to know someone, and if you see something that really isn't a match for what you want and really doesn't work for you, you're able to have the important conversation in a graceful way and just move on if needed. You're not wrapped up in what it means. Your little girl's protectors have really high walls that keep people out so that she doesn't get hurt. And this is one of those big ones for a lot of women. I've been hurt before, so I don't trust you. I can't let you in. I can't open my heart. You need to prove to me that you're good enough for me to show myself. These are all defenses. They're ways that we push people away and ways that we hide who we are. Your whole self doesn't have walls. You don't need them. You just have clear boundaries and you uphold them. And you're able to do that easily because you've done the work on the healing on the inner little self who struggles with boundaries and communication because of her beliefs and fears. So in the past, I've been like, how could he like me that much? There's probably something wrong with him. I'll go find the guy who isn't clear about how he feels towards me. I want that guy, not the one who's in front of me and ready. That's self-sabotage, but it's in the name of self-protection. It's all a subconscious mechanism, right? Let me know if you are guilty of this, by the way. So that's your love blueprint. It's a major sign that you've got some work to do. So what's happening is you're protecting against possibly getting hurt again. And this is where I tell my clients, when you have that wall up, it's a protector in you that is afraid of you being hurt. And so we need to do some major work around shifting that, because with that wall, while you may be protecting yourself from being hurt, you also are keeping out the thing that you want, which is love. Because on the other side of that wall, there is possible hurt, and there is also the potential for deep, real, authentic connection, closeness, and all the good things that you want for that love. So the wall protects you, but it also keeps out love. So let's get to know that so we can heal. Let's get to know why I have this wall so we can heal. So you have to be willing to take that risk for love. And you are strong enough to survive the pain that could come. You can handle it. And you can because you have in the past already. You've made it through so many things. You are so incredibly strong. And that's what your self knows. When you finally reach her, she doesn't have a wall. She just has firm and clear boundaries. She knows how to express them gracefully. So she lets someone get to know her. She gets to know them. She opens up because she's going to be okay. And of course she'll be okay. And she doesn't have all these crazy stories about it. So if sometimes something happens that she doesn't like, it violates a boundary or doesn't meet a standard, she's just able to walk away because she has inner strength, because she's done the work to remove the story, the beliefs, to heal the old wounds, to shift the protective mechanisms that are just protecting the unhealed pain in her love blueprint. And she's reprogrammed her love blueprint so she can attract a different kind of love, right? She's done the massive inner work to rewire and upgrade her love blueprint. And this is what makes her a high-value woman internally, right? So your inner little girl and those protectors, they're entirely focused on the past, what has happened, because she wants to prevent it from happening again, right? Being abandoned again, being ghosted again, being cheated on again, being rejected again. Or she's hung up on an ex and afraid, what if I never feel as connected to someone again? What if that was it for me? Because she operates based on the past. She believes that what has happened in the past is what will happen and the only thing that could happen in the future. Remember, because she has the story that she's already written and her life has to fit that story. So she will always go with what feels like the past. She will go with what feels familiar. The ex who was unavailable or didn't treat her right versus the new guy. It feels impossibly scary for her to allow a new possibility. So, just as an example, I recently completed a coaching package with a client who is talented, successful, high achieving. She actually knew she was a catch, but all her past experiences with men were shitty. She wanted that amazing, connected, happy, feel good relationship, but she didn't believe it was possible for her. So within 3 months, she was in a relationship that felt so good, that made her so happy, with a man who showed up for her on a level she wouldn't previously have thought possible. And she had actually just broken off, like before we started working together, with an unavailable guy. And then she met this guy. It didn't matter that she'd never experienced a relationship that felt so good, that she kept falling for abusive or unavailable men. It didn't matter that she's always chosen poorly in the past, and she had this difficult childhood where love seemed like a terrible thing. It should be clear that that's going to be the basis of things, right? She got the support and the inner tools to shift that. And then she entered this relationship that she was like, this exists. So when you tune into your desire, what you really want, you are tuning into your true self. And she is focused on the future because she's actually complete with her past. She is instead focused on creating what does she want in the future. Openness to the possibility that it could be different for you in the future, that you could have a relationship beyond your wildest dreams and totally unlike anything you've ever had before. And I want to give you this metaphor for how the Love Blueprint works in just a minute. Let me take a break for a second. So ladies, let me know, is this resonating with you? Are you following questions that you have, things that are coming up for you? Let me know. Okay, so metaphor for how your Love Blueprint works. So the world that you experience is a mirror for what is going on inside you. Your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. The world is reflecting you. It's not actually the separate entity from you in the sense of how we experience it. So as a mirror, it doesn't move on its own, right? It doesn't go first. You actually move first and the mirror mirrors you, right? It follows you. So when you smile, the world, as your reflection, is going to smile back, but it doesn't smile first. But what some of us do is say, I want a relationship with an amazing man who adores me, who cherishes me, who I feel a deep emotional connection with, who I have a lot of attraction towards, who is a real match for me. But if inside you've got all these subconscious core beliefs and wounds and just stuff going on, like, I don't get what I want doesn't exist, or it's really rare and hard to find, or men are no good, or I'm not worthy of this, or I'm actually unlovable, or love is super hard, guess what? The world is going to reflect that back to you, exactly what you were thinking, feeling, and believing, right? Because we are co-creators with our experiences. So your little inner girl and her protectors can believe all kinds of things, like I'm unlovable, I'm never going to have what I want, I've tried but it's not working, there's something wrong with me. And these parts of you are going to have you focused on your current and past circumstances to tell you what you can have in the future. So that could be like, there are just no men that I like here in my city, or men are all unavailable and non-committal, or it's really hard to find someone because of XYZ reason, or all the good ones are taken, or even the dating apps suck, they don't work. Okay, so great. Guess what you're going to be getting more of, right? So yourself, when you can access her, she doesn't do that. She looks at your past and your current circumstances and says, okay, great, that's what happened. That's what I have experienced up until now, but I know I'm a co-creator with my reality, right? I have the power to change my life, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, however long it takes, no matter what, until what I want becomes my reality. Maybe I'm going to need support along the way to help me heal, to help me see where I'm blocking myself, where my stories are that don't align with what I want, where I'm taking actions that don't align, where I'm missing information, maybe I'm going to have to do that. And you know what? I'm willing to do that. I'm happy to do that because I know it will happen, that I will keep doing things and I will keep moving forward until it does. So your old love blueprint tends to miss the bigger picture. It gets you really hung up on the past and what's right now. So if something happens, you get maybe asked on a date by a guy you're excited about, you're happy and you're like, great, it's working. This is gonna be it. And then something happens that isn't what you wanted, like he fizzles out or stops texting or is just really busy with his life or work. You get really, really low and you're like, oh, it's not working. I knew it wasn't gonna work. And you stop moving forward and you fall back into past patterns. When you connect with self, you're able to stay focused on your vision no matter what. You continue to lead yourself forward towards your desires no matter what happened right now. So there is work to do to uncover where you've been blocked by old stuff in your love blueprint that hasn't been examined and reprogrammed to match what you want. What are the beliefs holding you back? What are the core experiences that need to be healed? What is the narrative that you've been working on about love? What is it that you've been calling love, right? What's there? So there's work to find, uncover, get to know, and empower your highest self, the version of you that leads her love life from an empowered place. What does she desire? What are her standards? What makes her so, so incredible and amazing? If you don't have love right now, it is very likely that the things that you desire, the man, the kind of relationship, the dating experience that you want to have does not fit into your old love blueprint and that it needs to be updated. So give me a hell yes in the comments if you are ready to update yours. If you're ready, give me just like hell yes, I'm ready, or just I'm ready in the comments. Let me know. Okay. Yeah, so powerful to understand. Yeah, it was for me too. Okay. All right, so what I want you to lock in for today, and I want you to repeat this after me. Put your hands on your heart right here. You can close your eyes if you want. I want you to just lock in. I am worthy. I am worthy of all that I desire. I am a worthy person of an incredible relationship with a man who adores me. I am worthy of having everything in life that I desire. I don't need to settle just for success. Love and success are my birthright, and I get to have them both. And just lock that in. You can type this one in the comments too. Okay, we got yes, yes, ready, hell yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, so that's all for the Love Blueprint today, but I want to share with you how you can take this work deeper with me if you desire. So I'm going to talk about that now, so stay on if you are interested, and if not, that is totally fine. I will see you tomorrow. All right, so I'm a dating and love coach, as I mentioned, and I have a few ways that I work with women where we can take this work deeper. So the first way to work with me is in an intimate mastermind with me in a very small, intimate container of women at the same place that you are at. And that's the High Value Woman Mastermind, which I'm going to share all the details of. So I'm launching this literally today, right now. I have not released it to the public yet. So you have like today to be the first to have access to it and to know about it. So the Mastermind is a 5-month group program. And we are going to be really, really diving into your love blueprint, the stories you've written, the beliefs you have, the unhealed stuff, excavate that, figure out what your love blueprint even is, and then you are going to update the things in it that are holding you back from having the kind of relationship that you want. You will get such crystal clarity on what it is to actually look for, what you should actually know that you deserve and desire. All of the things that we've talked about today, we fix all of that. We're working on all of that. This is what I struggled with the most personally. This is what created the hugest transformation for me in my love life. I didn't believe I was good enough. before I had done any of this work. I didn't even know all the stuff that was in my love blueprint and blocking me. And I was just not at all attracted to available men because of my love blueprint. So I kept falling for men who didn't choose me. This work was the most incredible, powerful work. Then it's a process I've designed, doesn't exist anywhere else. So we uncover your love blueprint and you get support and the tools and the resources to shift it. So you stop attracting the wrong men and relationships and attract the relationship you really, really want. Your person, the man who you can actually see your future with, who sees a future with you too. So during the 5 months, there are 3 coaching calls a month with hot seat coaching where you come and you get the support you need, as well as a private Facebook group where you get supported throughout the week. It's just an incredible community and opportunity to see that you're not alone and to learn from each other and grow together and support each other. You also get one one-on-one call with me, and there is also a platinum level with 4 one-on-one calls. And I actually don't offer small packages of one-on-one calls like this. Normally you need to do 6 months of coaching with me. So this is like really special part of this offer. On those calls, we then dive into your specific blocks and like the deeper stuff that you need to shift and be guided to shift it, or work on whatever it is that is most pressing and coming up for you. Sometimes that's literally your dating profile or your communication with men. So if you take that level and you sign up now, there is also part of an early bird right now for the next 2 days where you would actually get one more 30-minute call with me as an early bird special. So that's literally an incredible deal. And it's going to be extraordinary. And it would be literally, if that's all this was offering, amazing and worth it. But I'm actually including a lot more for you guys. So I'm also going to be including a video and resource library of modules. That's a curriculum that goes along with the coaching and the mastermind. So it's taking you through my process for preparing for and attracting love. And it's going to take you step by step through the process, first with your love blueprint, and then all the other pieces that you actually need. So you're approaching dating like a high value woman, so you attract that right man, attract and choose. So you can start your life together with him as soon as possible. So you'll get my process for healing past wounds, uncovering what's in your love blueprint, my signature process for uncovering and rewiring old beliefs, my step-by-step process for handling and moving through and actually de-triggering your triggers, my process for getting clarity on what you actually want and need from a partner. So I help you understand what you really want, not just like the idea that you have in your head, but the things that really truly matter in a relationship and in a partner. Otherwise, you can attract a man who you thought was what you wanted, or you just don't even know what you're looking for, and this makes it so hard to find someone. And we'll get really clear on what it is you actually really want and need that will really fulfill you. So I've had clients tell me this was such a game changer. I've literally had women tell me that they got exactly what they had written down. That level of clarity makes such a difference, and it is such an in-depth process I take you through. Then I teach you how to date in a way that helps you get your ideal match as quickly as possible, the high value woman way. These are things that I wish I had known when I was dating so messily and confusingly way back. It would have saved me so much time and effort and heartbreak. So I tell you the exact dating pitfalls that will literally save you months and maybe years of your time, as well as what should you actually be doing and looking for in that process. And this is really honestly part of the reason why my clients meet men so quickly. Then we dive into using dating apps effectively. So most women are not using them well, and that's why they're not getting results. So we look at your profile, we update it if it needs updating to be a match for what you want. Now that you have that clarity, we look at your communication with men on the apps. There's just a lot of pitfalls in terms of that. I have a whole training literally just on communication with men on the apps and in texting. So you can literally skip so much trial and error and heartbreak and frustration with the dating apps. After that, we dig into being the woman who has the love that you want, being a match to that. So I teach you about feminine and masculine energy and give you specific practices so you can actually embody it, because it's really not an intellectual thing, it's something that is embodied. This is catnip to masculine, high quality, high value, healthy men. It is what gives you inner peace and confidence and allows you to enjoy the process of dating. I also am going to teach you how to set boundaries, communication with men, and then when you start attracting men, which you will really quickly, you need to understand men. So I teach you how men commit, why they commit, when they commit, signs he's ready for commitment, signs he wants to commit to you specifically. So you're never ever confused about what's going on with the men that you're dating. Just imagine what having that certainty and knowing would feel like, how amazing that would be. So honestly, if I had known what you will know, I wouldn't have struggled with finding an available man and falling for all these unavailable men, not interested in me or a not ready man. It's really a game changer. So you get some meditations, inner work videos and processes, and just an incredible, incredible resource to go along with the live calls. So this is literally my favorite and most incredible offer. It's the cheapest it will ever be because it's new, and the women who are joining it are going to get amazing transformations, because I already have seen it with all my one-on-one clients. So the price will go up next time I run it. It may not be exactly the same. So if you are interested, if you know you want to join, if you know you want that support, I'm going to drop the link to the webpage where you can apply, if you're interested in getting on a call with me and making sure that this is truly the right fit. So there's an application and you'll schedule a consult call and we'll just chat for a little bit to make sure it's a fit. And if it is, you will be able to hop right in. So there is that. Okay. So again, there's one more piece if you are interested, and this is the second way to work with me. And it's my one-on-one practice, which is just about full. And this is really only for women who are incredibly ready for very high level support at a high investment. So it's for a woman who really, really wants deep transformation and support. So in my one-on-one practice, you get weekly hour-long one-on-one coaching sessions, personalized plan for exactly what you need to get you from where you are to into a happy, healthy, committed relationship. So we dive into this work on a deep level to uncover what's in your subconscious love blueprint, to do the healing work, to help the parts of you that are sabotaging or just working against you and rewire your love blueprint. So all those beliefs, those perceptions, those stories, raising your self-worth, your self-confidence, healing things like anxious attachment and core wounds, so that you can actually be a match for the love and relationship that you want. You have unlimited access to me during the week with questions that come up in the moment, like this happened, or this guy said this, what do I say? Is it a negative thing? Is this a red flag? And I respond to you. So I've had client message me, one of her conversations with a man that she had met on an app. She really liked him, but he hadn't asked her out yet. I looked at it, I was like, oh, well, just say this thing. He asked her out, and they are now in a relationship. They're moving in together. And she's like, this is the most incredible relationship, and we are such a perfect fit. So my one-on-one coaching is a place to be if you know you've got like a lot of just stuff inside from your past, a lot of stuff you need to work through, and you really want that personalized attention. You know you're going to need the support of the weekly calls with just you and me, and you really want that intensive one-on-one close support and guidance. You, on top of that, get all of the practical aspects of dating support as well. So everything I mentioned in the learning part of the mastermind, you will also learn. You get that personalized to you. So we literally create your dating profile together, and all these other incredible things. So that's just part of what you get. So with my one-on-one, that is application only. It's for a very specific woman who truly values herself in this work. So for that, send me a message. And I will give you the application and you can set up a consultation call. So that is everything for today. So if you would let me know if this landed and just what you're taking away from this call, I would love, love, love to know. And I will be back here tomorrow. We'll be talking about the biggest blocks to attracting your dream relationship, and we'll be on at 4 p.m. EST. All right, so I will see you all tomorrow. Much love. Bye.